Not a huge incentive for the Canadians, to be honest. They have, they have certain principles that they're fighting for in this trade deal. I don't think they liked the situation with the Mexicans breaking apart and signing sort of a separate peace for them. But, they don't have to give in here. I think they have heard and seen what congressional leaders have said about the possibility of signing, of passing a separate U.S.-Mexico agreement. That's been it's been pretty clear that that's not something that's likely to happen and that Congress can do. And Congress is also signaling that they're not going to pull out the rug and allow the president to just simply withdraw from NAFTA. So they do have some bargaining power here. Now, the Canadians, I think, do want to get a deal. The Americans very much want to get something done before the midterm elections. It's not just about the changing government in Mexico. They want to be able to go out and say that they accomplished this heading into what is going to be very likely a difficult midterm election season for them.
Congress's role there, and of course President Trump last week said to Congress, stay out of this. This is my fiefdom. These are my negotiations, essentially. But I mean, surely the real challenge for him is going to be getting this past Congress, whatever deal he comes up with. And then, of course, north of the border in Ottawa, getting the Canadian Parliament to agree to anything that perhaps they're not happy with.
Yeah, I think all three parliaments, and it's not going to be something that happens this year also, as you noted. Like we're going to see changes in Congress. It's I don't want to say it's 100% impossible that they can get something done this year, but it is very, very unlikely. And just by way of context, back in March, President Trump signed this agreement in principle with Korea. Well, that was a fairly simple agreement, very modest, does not even need to be passed by Congress, and it took months and months until just in recent days they were able to finalize that agreement in a formal way so that they can begin to implement it. The NAFTA negotiations, the NAFTA deal is much more complicated and lots of technical details dealing with three different legal structures in the countries. And getting this done is going to be difficult, getting the final agreement ready to present to the Congresses. Then you have the normal trade fights and legislators voting over what was given away in the negotiations versus what was acquired in the negotiations. And that's politics, and that'll be up in the air. But that's a thing for next year, not for this year, in all likelihood.
Okay, Tony. But if we assume that an agreement is reached and then later ratified, what would that mean, in your view, for these other American trade disputes with Europe and China?
Well, it would be great if the United States could start acquiring some allies in its dispute with China. There are very real trade issues that not just the United States, but Europe and others have with China. If they could clear the decks on some of their disputes with our allies, then they can move forward in a more in a better way with China. China's not in a hurry to get anything done before the midterm elections either. They believe that they'll be in a stronger position if what is expected to happen, that Democrats take control of the House of Representatives, that'll put them in a stronger negotiating position with the U.S. administration. So that's going to be tough. So letting this drag on has not been good for the Trump administration's ability to deal with China. And so we're in the escalation phase of this. We're going to see new tariffs in the coming days, I believe, and retaliatory tariffs from China. And I think that's going to have long-term effects between the two countries and their ability to even come to an agreement anytime soon.
You don't sound particularly positive when it comes to the US and China. What about Europe? I had a chance to talk last week to the CEO of Volvo. He essentially told me, we have no idea whether we can rule out the possibilities of future auto tariffs, of course, a big impact for a firm like his. How damaging do you think that uncertainty is for the relationship between the US and the European Union?
Well, very damaging. I think the president wants to impose tariffs. He likes the existing tariffs that are on foreign imports of light trucks, like pickup trucks in the United States. He thinks that's a good model. That has forced a lot of auto companies to build cars in the United States. The difference and the problem of using the pickup truck market as the model for other products, and especially automobiles, is that no country in the world buys pickup trucks like the United States does. It's the most important, biggest market for pickup trucks. It's not. You can't say the same with autos. So it's going to be very, very disruptive for the auto sector. Even in the discussions that the United States had with Europe, they are not taking autos off the table. And we know that the president is inclined to go in that direction. So that's going to be a continuing threat. And the Canadians are trying to make sure that they get an exemption from any auto action and repeal autos and steel. The Europeans are going to be looking for exactly the same thing.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.